What's happening, people? Back again, here to chat it up with the family about another calisthenic video. This time, we're going to discuss something a little bit different to what we regularly discuss. In particular, what my particular focus for this channel, for the most part, has been hypertrophy, breaking down the muscle, repairing the muscle, getting big muscles, getting small muscles, working the muscles, period. But what we're going to be focusing on today is, in particular, skill training, skill-based calisthenics, and how you can work your way up to different progressions of exercises, different types of calisthenics, and it comes to like static holds and like other types of movements where they're more like functional movements, like for example a tucked row or a front lever row or a planche push-up, full planche push-up, not pseudo planche where you're still kind of on the ground. We're talking just two hands pressing movements, and potentially even handstand. Even though I'm not quite there yet, I can still touch on my journey through these skills and what you can do to get to these skills and actually be able to build muscle with them. So I recently got down to the point where I can do tucked planche push-ups. That is no feet on the ground, no type of movement that requires feet. It is simply just me hovering in air with my hands on two bars going up and down. And that has created a huge range of possibilities of where I can go with that movement. I've gotten a lot better with rotational movements in the planche form, in the planche position, and I've gotten a lot better with handstands as a result. What little of a handstand I can do. But when it comes to these movements, the way you start to get to a planche push-up, or even just planche in general, and maybe you don't necessarily want to be able to do a full planche push-up or a tucked planche push-up. Maybe you just want the static hold movement. It's all requires rubber bands. Particularly, what you do is you find some sort of hanging surface. You take your parallettes down here, and you get your rubber band, your resistance band, maybe about, it doesn't have to be a lot of resistance, it just has to give you some assistance to basically be able to keep the lower half of your body up while rotating your shoulder joint to basically keep your body horizontal to the ground. And what that means is, what you're gonna wanna do is take about 2 weeks to really just train the static hold movement before you ever like try to do any type of pushing movement, because it's likely that you're not going to be there yet, especially if you're starting from zero. But the pushing movement, unfortunately, is going to have to require some tendon strength, and it takes about 2 weeks for your tendons to actually regenerate and build the strength that you're naturally looking for, the adaptation. On the screen here, you're also seeing other types of skill-based training, such as like the one-arm pull-up, which I'm still on my journey towards. Definitely requires like weighted pull-ups. One-arm pull-up is probably also the most dangerous. So we use resistance bands once more to really kind of get that easy assistance to be able to do a partial movement, or at least some of the movement, maybe not entire strength base quite yet, but I'm definitely on the way there, definitely getting there. And I know a lot of you are too. When it comes to front lever is a little bit different. You don't necessarily need a rubber band for that one. However, you should definitely start slow. What you should start with is just doing the rotational movements for front lever and even back lever, which is basically like a skin to cat. And how you do a skin to cat is basically like you take your entire body in a tucked form, preferably, but then eventually you can, straighten out your body. And you do a full 360 rotation with your shoulders, maybe not exactly 360, because 360 would be like hella flexibility. You'd basically be like a contortionist at that point. But about maybe 280 degrees worth of rotational movement with your body to the other side. There will be a video on screen for this, but you can basically train the front lever by starting with those basic movements, and then what you can do to work to back lever is basically start doing static holds in those positions and movements. Once you have that, you basically have all the fundamental, and once you become strong at that, you basically have all the fundamental strengths where you can do front levers, back levers, and skin the cats, and so you don't really have to worry about injury prone at that point. Of course, there's a whole shoulder routine too, which I plan to touch on in another video in the future, that you should definitely take into account if you don't want to run into any type of rotator cuff tears, any type of joint injuries around the shoulders, shoulder separation, all that stuff, because shoulder health is important, and it would just suck if you one day couldn't lift your arm up here because you did this crazy front lever and you weren't actually ready to do the front lever quite yet. Same type of precaution would roll over to the planche too, and potentially even handstand if you're new. These things take time for your body to learn and develop and train itself to do these things thoroughly so that you don't get an injury. So the goal behind these warm-ups and these exercises to prevent the injuries and starting very small is that you don't want to start off too heavy and then you're looking at a lifetime worth of pain and potential surgeries and horrible things you don't want to have to deal with. So start with the basics, work your way up to the more advanced level. If you've seen a couple of the videos on screen just now, you can see I'm working towards the straddle position for front and back lever. And I'm almost there, man. The strength, it's been a long way to develop the strength to even do the front lever and back lever since I'm such a tall individual. However, we still proceed, no excuses. Anybody can do this, it doesn't really matter. If you're a tall person, short person, if you just have the will, grit, tenacity, you can do everything that anybody else can do. And that's just the simple fact and reality of, the human body is amazing. It's capable of a lot of things. It's capable of things that we probably can't even imagine. And that's why it's so powerful, and that's why we should train it to do all this crazy stuff. When I first started personally in calisthenics, I couldn't really even do like more than 3 pull-ups. Push-ups I was always pretty strong in because I've always kind of grown up in like a military background, so I always had the strength to do push-ups because I've basically been doing push-ups since I was like maybe like 12 or 13 years old, in the hundreds, 100 reps that is. And for the most part, dips, it was a similar situation. I could only do maybe like 2 or 3 at a time, 2 or 3 push-ups at a time. It was a struggle, man, like in the beginning. And now here I am doing front levers, planches, handstand push-ups, all the crazy stuff. So if I started from 0 to hero, I know you also can become 0 to hero as well. But there's 3 skills that I'm working towards right now, which is planche, front/back lever, and 1-arm pull-up. Peace, people.